Alright. Action.
Okay.
Don't worry, you're looking
Look at me, look at me.
Oh, okay.
Am I not pretty enough? Look
Oh,
at
of
me.
course you are. Come on.
Yes, I like your face. Can you describe your father in few words?
My father was a walking contradiction.
Wow, that's a lot of things to unpack.
Yeah, so he was both stoic and very emotional. You know, my father was the first person who made me realize that it was okay for a man to cry. But at the same time, he was also the first person who taught me that you can say no and nothing on earth can make you say yes again. All right, so that's why I say, so when you see him in his most emotional / vulnerable state, you would think he was incapable of, the most difficult decisions. But when you meet him in that state, you'd be shocked. So it was a walking contradiction in the sense that he towed the line perfectly. He was able to balance both worlds. Also, he was somebody who lived fully, when he laughed fully. And when he felt like really emotional, he would cry. I remember one particular incident. It was Thanksgiving in church. I was, family Thanksgiving because I finished NYSC, right? And I looked by my side and I saw my dad crying. He was tearing up, right? And in my mind's eye, I'm like, oh, dude, what's up, man? You get. So in front of everybody, he didn't care, but everybody knew that when it was on, So I think he was able to fully express all ranges of emotion fully. So he wouldn't tether on, let me not go into deep into this because it might affect this. When it was on, it was fully on. It does not matter what was going on, right? So he was like that, a walking contradiction and somebody who expressed all ranges of emotion fully. Yeah.
So, who was it to you?
That was my Gio. Yay! That was my guy. My guys were envious of the kind of relationship we had. It took me a while to really understand it because it was quite temperamental. He was quite temperamental. So during my younger age, I didn't really get. I'm like, this guy hates me. Right? Because I would compare myself to my contemporaries. I was an A+ student, so my academics were never a problem. The only place we would have challenges was when I go to play football, which is actually anticlimactic because the whole love for football, I got it from him. He played football almost professionally, almost, before he then veered into public service. So I'm like, yo, dude, I got it from you. What's up? I had a deep love for football, and that was the major bone of contention. So then I used to feel like, I'm like, I excel in academics. What more do you want? I don't fight outside. I don't steal. So what's up? Yeah, but he had a picture as to what he wanted his children to be like. I guess it was his responsibility to enforce that in, whichever way that he saw fit. Do I approve of everything? Nah. But when I zoom out, I get it. So after a while, I understood. And then we became best of friends. As per, no secrets. Get secrets where I did. I no get secrets where I did. It was like that. Okay, it was a Saturday morning. Incidentally, it was the birthday of my best friend. It was the birthday of my best friend, 26th January 2019. So That morning I woke up to it was a call that woke me up around, say, to 7 or something. I was in Ibadan at the time, right? Because my family lived in Ibadan. No, they still live there. My father lived in Ibadan. So I got a call. They were like, oh, come over to, do you know there's a hospital in Ibadan called Teju Hospital? Do you know Teju Hospital? I'm like, yeah. They were like, come to Teju Hospital. I'm like, for what? So I'm going to say this in Yoruba, the exact way they said it. They were like, oh, Redadi ni. Now, the person who called is the wife of my landlord. So when she said, oh, Redadi, instinctively, what I thought was her husband, the landlord, right? You know, so in my head, I'm like, my landlord is, why are you calling me? Like, I don't understand, right? Because we don't relate to my dad as daddy. Like, it's the landlord that we call daddy, right? So like, oh, Redadi, I'm like, daddy, who? Like, Daddy, Instantly I knew something was fundamentally wrong because my father was not hospitalized a day in his life, you know. Oh, every now and then we have malaria. That one regular, right? But there was never anything that it was also hypertensive, you know, but nothing scary, you know. So the fact that they had to call me early in the morning to say he was at the hospital. Now I knew something was fundamentally wrong. I'm like, what's up? Kilo Shele, what's going on? Shamabo. I said, okay, Mumbo. I cut the call and I sat down. I thought about it. My best friend came into the room and I told him, Popsy don't die. Now nobody told me anything as per, after I said, my Popsy don't die. I was like, which kind of rubbish? How you going to talk? I said, I feel it. Right. So I didn't rush to the hospital. I took my time, showered, you understand? All right. And then we started going. My spirit knew already. So and it was quite a journey, you know, from his place to the hospital. The entire journey, man, I was just singing. I was singing. This is Nathaniel Bassey song that I was singing. You are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for arguments. You're God by. That was just what I was singing from, like, throughout the entire. I knew. In fact, not to sound crazy, but like, it was that week that I realized that I had known for a while. Like I had kind of prepared for it, you know, because like on the 31st of December that year, crossover service, that was the first time I gave my dad a full-on hug. Like full-on. We'll shake, we'll dab it up and all of that, but I hugged him in front of everybody. It was in church. So, you know, he went to drop the offering, he was coming back, you know, that was their role. Now my role was going to drop the offering, they were coming back, and then I met him, you know, like we had done the whole Happy New Year thing. So I just met him, we just played, and then I hugged him, and then I held him tightly. That had never happened. I held him for quite a bit. It was almost a minute. You know, people would like wonder what's going on, right? So I really hugged him. In my mind, I felt like I had kind of said goodbye at one point in time. So he was not ill, there was nothing wrong. He had a massive heart attack in his sleep. So he was not ill or anything like that, right? So, so I got to the hospital. My dad was a man of the people, so the hospital was already filled up. So the moment I came in, the matron, she saw me and she was like, she was Androde. I'm like, yeah. And she was like, my boy. The mood was already telling, you know. Then we went to the back of the hospital, the mortuary. And then I saw people, you know, and that's the posture. You see people with their hands at the back like this, you know, like, you know, showcasing helplessness. Then I heard my mother's voice. So my mother was somewhere. I heard her, and my mother is hardly emotional. They are hardly emotional. My dad was the emotional one. You know, he's the one who would express his feelings fully. My mom, not really. You know. But I heard her voice and I heard that she was crying. So it was just confirmation. And then I went to where she was, and then she saw me, and then she went off. You know, and I'm like, okay, I'm here. So I told them to hold her, and then here's where it got crazy, right? Somebody just came to meet me, and it was like one of the Xbox. You know, what's actually funny is, now that I'm having this conversation with you, I'm thinking in my head, what gave this guy the confidence to come and have this conversation with me? Because we were never close. He was not even close to my dad. He was not even close to the family, right? I don't know who sent him, but he just came to meet me, and then he called me to the side. I was like, Toby, because they called me Toby at home, right? I was like, Toby, Otishele Niel. I can say this in Yoruba, right? The exact way he said it was like, Toby, Otishele Niel, Pop City, Sheti, what's it, Niel? Look, come by. Next thing, it was like, so, mortuary, 40 kiniko thousand. Then, Omarasho White, so and so yacht, 20 something thousand. So, we're going to share environment in Sin, Abi, because she feel it. And I'm like, you dude, I've not even seen the guy.
Confirm.
I've not even seen the guy. Like, what's the, yeah, you know? And he was just like, so instantly I told my guy, so I had to give him my ATM card. I'm like, make him go withdraw money, come. So I saw that, so people were trooping in. Again, my dad was extremely popular. It's not random, extremely. He cut across social strata, you know. As a function of being his son, I've met with like special advisors to like the president, to governors, to ambassadors. At the same time, I've met with thugs and street urchins as a function of, you know, being his son. So he cut across, you know, social strata. So different people were already trooping in. I knew that I need to get my mom to a stable environment as soon as possible. So I started coordinating. I told everybody to go home, to go to the house. Whatever cry you want to cry, go and cry it at home, right? So he left. And then I remember the guy who was in charge of the mortuary, he came to meet me. And then he told me, he said, he noticed that the entire time that all of this has been going on, I have not gone into the mortuary to actually look at my dad. And this was 2 hours plus, about 2 to 3 hours since I got to the hospital. I was like, you have not even gone to see your dad to even know whether what everybody is saying is true. Right? I thought about it and I told him, I said, I think it makes sense for me to not go. Because if I see my dad laying there on the stretcher, lifeless, you will not be able to get anything out of me. Whatever responsibilities that are required of me, I will not be able to meet up with them. So I'm like, I don't want to. So I didn't. I would prefer for the entirety of time that we are you know, strategizing and putting together how we want to go about the burial and stuff. I want for the last image that I have of my dad to be the last time I saw him alive, when we're having a conversation in his car. He was driving and we were just talking about it, and I remember vividly what he was saying. He was saying the problem with the youth in this generation is the lack of patience, instant gratification. I remember vividly, and I can never forget it. Because that was the last conversation we had physically. You know, we spoke twice after that, you know, before he passed. You know, like conversation, we just cracked jokes. Chelsea lost the match. I made fun of him because he's a closeted Chelsea fan. He would never admit it, but you know. Anyway, so I'm like, I can't see him on the stretcher. It affects me. So that was it. And then we got home, and then his friends came around and they were crying, and I was consoling them. That was it.
So, in all of this going on, right, how did his passing change your life? Moving from he's no more to grieving and life moving forward?
Oh, yeah. It did. Instantly, my capacity got enlarged, like instantly. The day before, my biggest challenge was going all the way from my best friend's place to have a radio interview. That was my biggest challenge. The next day, my biggest challenge was planning the funeral of my dad and leading the family after his passage. So that transition was insane. But I felt like I was already being prepared for that for quite a while, so yeah. I mean, I had to grow up. I was 25. I was 25, so I mean, like, there are people who have lost their fathers like at a younger age and they dealt with it properly, or they grew into the responsibilities. So I had no excuse. Also, like, it wasn't a complicated scenario. And I'm glad and I'm grateful to God, particularly, that I was able to be faithful in the responsibilities. Now, instantly after he died, I put my life on hold for 7 months. Right, 7 months, I did not do anything. I just stayed beside my mom. Because again, I had to step outside of myself. I'd lost my father, right? But my mom had lost the love of her life. So I knew that it was a loss on a different level entirely. And, I had 2 younger ones. One was serving, one was in school. So I knew after the whole funeral arrangements and whatnot, they would have to go back to their respective, I was the one who had like a flexible itinerary. So I just decided I would stay with my mom for the next 7 months in Ibadan until she was strong enough. Yeah.
So at what point did you, as Toby,
yeah,
and as a son, tell yourself, like, this man is dead, and it dawned on you, you had to...
Yeah. It was about 3 weeks after. It was building up, I immersed myself instantly in projects, the projects he was on while he was alive. So I just immersed myself in that, or in those, and a whole lot of other stuff, official stuff, because that was his 33rd year in service. And he would have retired in his 35th year. So there were like some paperwork that I had to like do. So I went into all of those. I didn't really dwell, but it was building up. I knew it was building up. But every night that you go to sleep knowing that this guy is not coming back, you need an outlet ultimately. Right, so I knew it was building up. I just had to like coast through it until so I knew that I will be required to deal with this one day, So I think it was about 3 weeks later. I think for the most part, my family was coming out of it when I just dealt with mine. So like I'd been there for everybody, right? So on that day, I was in my room, I locked the door, and I was there the entire day, and I wept. So I wept the entire day. Nobody disturbed me. They knew that, because I'd been there, consoling everybody and it's life, it happens, So they knew that at some point, this guy would have to come to terms. So that day, I'm glad nobody disturbed me. So I was in there the entire day, wept the entire day. And after that, I took a stroll. I remember I took a stroll, and it was a long stroll, and I was just muttering to myself that I don't know what to do next. I feel very confused. I was just talking about it. And after the stroll, I came back. I felt a semblance of peace, and that has been it since then. That was how I dealt with it, So, yeah, it was tough because it wasn't just some random guy, or I didn't have a relationship with him. He was my guy, He used to call me Oluwaye, like Oluwaye Veda. I was his noodles guy. You get? I was his noodles guy. I'll prepare noodles for him. You get? When I'm eating noodles, he will steal my noodles. I said steal, yes. Because I don't want to say obtain. You steal my noodles. You get? We have that kind of relationship. A lot of my guys were quite envious of that. Because I realized that most of my guys don't particularly have a great relationship with their fathers. And it's something that is very prevalent, So, again, that scenario left me with a semblance of gratitude, for the fact that, okay, well, we had great memories, right? It was great. We were all in a great place at that point in time. I think what just made it like really overwhelming, particularly for my mom, was that just a month before that, she lost her mother. So she lost her mother mid-December. She lost her husband 19th of January. So that was a lot for her. So I knew that I had to be there for her. Not a strong woman, but still, Yeah, you get so. Yeah.
What does Father's Day feel like for you now he's gone?
I don't know, to be honest. I know through the reason right? I don't know. I think I've had to grow a lot in the past 6 years that I don't really remember what it's like to, being fathered.
In just 6 years?
Yeah, because like the magnitude of learning and unlearning that I've had to, because again, these were very definitive moments in my life, right? This past 6 years, wherein the kind of decisions you make kind of shape the entirety of your life. So, at that point in time, I didn't particularly have any male father figure guide me through them, So it's kind of like, these 6 years have been really long. I've experienced so much, predominantly by my lonesome self, So I remember for the most part, like I would pray and say, and tell God, I don't have a father figure, So I'd be like, that's one thing that I wish that I had, but I didn't. Although now, like I have a relationship, I have a mentor that that I'm really close with right now. And then like I hit him up whenever I hit like roadblocks or whenever I don't understand stuff, But yeah, but during that whole period, there wasn't a father or a father figure at that point. So I had to like feel, and I made really, really, really tough decisions, extremely tough decisions, very unpopular decisions that you would have to question and be like, yo, you get, decisions wherein I would have needed the counsel of somebody who has been there ahead of me to tell me, But I had to do all of that primarily, I don't want to say on my own, because again, I know that God guided me through those decisions. So, yeah, but like physically, tangibly, there wasn't anybody. So, Father's Day now, my perspective these days is more tilted towards the kind of father that I'll be. And I'll be a great father, I know that I'll be a phenomenal father. I know it's not even something that, I know that I would be. So I think that's where my thoughts tilt toward. Hey, Dad. It's your boy. I just want to say thank you for the memories, man. I've grown. I really have. You knew the smart, funny, intelligent Frank. I guess my biggest heartache is that you never met the wise Frank. I'll do anything to have intellect.
So what do you feel after writing this letter?
Yeah, it feels good, man. Like almost like he can read it, But if he can't, I'm reading it on his behalf. I mean, like, look, it is what it is, man. Like, He had his time. He lived a full life, right? He made the most of it. He birthed me. He birthed my siblings. He gave us the best that he could, you know? So, for the mere fact that I turned out the way that I turned out is evidence to the fact that he did a great job.